Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Just give me a minute. Yes, welcome to TiE Hyderabad's Leadership Series 2022. Uh, uh, I just want to start off by thanking our annual sponsors, Brightcom Group, Controllers, Watson University, Athena Technologies, Dallas Venture Capital, Fuji, Hooper Labs, Lostro, StratCap Advisory, EHAM, eZone, Finvista, and Jupiter Networks. With no much delays, I just want to give you some ground rules. All the attendees in the meetings are requested to not to turn on your cameras or microphones. Please use the chat option to ask any questions. Your questions will be directly taken up by the moderator. And if you have any trouble with your audio, try checking your internet connection, or you can seek help from the host. Now, I would request our Executive Director, Mr. Srinivas Rao, to take over from here. Mr. Rao. Okay, I think we have lost him on the call, but yeah, I would take this moment to thank Raghu Babu sir for doing this. He has been the front end lead for supporting us in taking this forward. Raghu Babu sir will be leading this conversation today with Mr. Madhukar Reddy from Medplus. A small brief about Mr. Raghu Babu Garu is that the professional entrepreneur, and he is he's a partner and also of R&D Associates and also advisor of Samisti Legal. He spans over 25 years of experience in areas of corporate, legal, and transactions advisory and corporate law compliances and management. And Samisti Legal, where is a mentor of the organization, has advised the recent IPO of Medplus and also acted as a legal counsel for the promoter. He's a postgraduate in Commerce and Bachelor of Law, Company Secretary, and obtained from the Executive MBA from Indian School of Business. May I request Raghu Babu sir to introduce our speaker for the day?
Vamshi, you want to start, put that slide?
Which one? So this one? Yeah.
Very good evening, friends. I'm extremely happy, delighted, to moderate this session and also, bring, Madhukar Reddy here and, listen his story of, success of Medplus. And, Madhukar, very, very brief background. Is a medical doctor by profession, and also a bachelor in, surgery, and went to Wharton and did his MBA, and then came back and set up Medplus in 2015. And today we are witnessing the, Medplus success, and, it's close to $2 billion company. And, I have known Madhukar, pre formation of Medplus group, and that's where, I first interacted with him in 2015. 2005, when he called from US and wanted to set up this company. And since then, we have been very, very actively engaged with Medplus and Madhukar, and we're immensely, extremely happy that, we've been able to, partner with, Medplus and, see what it is today. And professionally and individually, we have learned so many things from, Medplus and Madhukar. And that's the very brief about Madhukar. We uncover him, maybe next 45 minutes to 1 hour. And the way I wanted to do, guys, can I go ahead? Vamshi?
Yes, sir. We are good to go.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. So the way I wanted to do this session, maybe we have 30-40 minutes of, kind of a, the conversation with Madhukar. Maybe first part, we will try to cover, pre-Medplus, what Madhukar was, maybe a little bit of education, growing up, the other businesses which he has done. And then we'll spend, substantial portion on the way, Medplus has been built by Madhukar over the last 16-17 years. And then we talk about a little bit general in terms of, other entrepreneur ecosystem issues and, what are the takeaways and maybe some of the lessons he has learned. I think this group has charter members, and we also have some of the associate members. The whole idea is, the recipe which you have, made, should be delivered today so that, we can create a lot more, billion-dollar companies out of Hyderabad and maybe in India. Now, that's the contest, Madhukar. And obviously, maybe after 30 minutes or so, we would like to have Q&A from the participants here. At the end, I have a little bit of a rapid round, maybe one word answer or a one line answer. That's how, we will do this session maybe next 1.5 hours. Madhukar, if you can start and, maybe share a little bit, bit of education background and, what did you do before setting up Medplus? Now, how did this idea came? And are you a born entrepreneur? Is this statement correct? Entrepreneurs are born, are made. All yours, Madhukar.
Sure. Thank you, Raghu. So, as you said, I graduated from Karnool Military College in 1991. So, I'm the second child in a family. My elder brother was an engineer, so it made complete sense to my family that, the second son should be a doctor. So that is the only reason why I ended up being that. I was always keen to do something on the engineering side, but, for whatever reason, I ended up getting, brainwashed in that, time between my 10th class and, taking the intermediate optionals and all. So I ended up being a doctor. Very quickly, I realized that, that was not the profession I really would enjoy. It required a lot more hard work than I could have actually, made at that point of time. And I also thought, that it could, even at that time, I thought that, business was my thing. I just didn't want to get into hospitals or something like that as a business and all. So I ended up doing something else. So very quickly, within the first 3-4 years, third year on, I decided that I would actually not pursue that. But I ended up actually finishing my medicine. I wanted to graduate and come out. But after 5 years, of studying and passing everything and all, suddenly I felt that the last 9 months was too much. I ended up actually leaving my internship in middle and finished and left my MBBS unfinished to that level and all that I passed. So I have only a provisional degree out there. To the huge, disappointment of my father and mother, I never did manage to actually finish that whole medicine. But, looking back, I didn't think of it that way. But the way I saw it, that I didn't want to waste any more time out there doing something which I really didn't enjoy very much. So I ended up actually going out there and doing a lot of different things with a very, very little capital. Given that I was a first generation entrepreneur and my parents were not, they were obviously not happy that I was leaving medical profession and all. So whatever little money I scraped up, I ended up actually taking a distribution of a product which I really believed in at that time. Ended up doing that successfully for a few years, made some money. And then on a trip to UK, I saw that there was a huge demand for software professionals in UK. Everyone in Hyderabad was only talking about Oracle Financials and something else out there. And that was the talk of the town here. I had gone to UK to actually buy second-hand equipment, which would allow me to use, leftover material from timber to create that into a board of the size of 8x4. And the way I saw it, actually, the pieces of timber are joined edge to edge and then side by side, and then they're made into a board. Eco-friendly product, vast value addition. There was no machinery available in India at that time. I went to buy some second-hand machinery out of UK, and then I made the trip to Glasgow and all. I was staying with friends. And when I came across this huge demand for all kinds of software professionals, saw an opportunity, walked into an office there and told them that, I would be able to get them this many guys and all that sort of stuff. And came back and opened a company, which then became a body shop. So started hiring people, we placed them in UK. Then immediately after that, I realized that UK was not the place. US was where the action was. So I ended up going to US in 1998. Then was partnered in a small company based out of the Bay Area. Came out of that in 2001. Started my own company from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. From there, went back to school, went to Wharton. And that was where I, wrote the business plan. I wrote a couple of different business plans, actually. One was for a GPO. And from that plan for a group purchasing organization came a plan for the chain of pharmacy stores. And that was what I ended up writing in my final year in school in 2005. Came out of school, continued to run that business out of US while I started Medplus here. And then for several years, I actually ran that. And part of that money basically funded Medplus. And then I also raised money from friends and family to start the business. So that is how we got started in 2005. Yeah, you could say born or not, that's a different story. But very quickly on, I decided that medical profession would not be the thing for me. I decided to actually get into business.
Your MBBS had some influence on this, you think? Or,
No, not really. No, not really at all.
okay.
So I was a reluctant entrant to this field. So, and whatever little, initial this thing was there because of the whole process of getting into an entrance exam and going out there was quickly lost in the second and third year because I just wanted to do something else. That's all. I personally felt that I lacked that, fantastic empathy which some of my friends were displaying in the clinics out there when they were basically, working as doctors and all. So I could see that gap, and I thought that I would not, be really good at that profession, and my heart wasn't something else. So I ended up actually stepping back.
Before we get to Medplus, I just wanted, for everybody's purpose, I wanted to share a little bit information about Medplus. I mean, currently they are on 2,500 stores, 16,000 employees, 43,000 SKUs, 300 cities they operate, 7 states. Private label, they are on 558, pharma and 252 non-pharma. And I mean, there is stellar IPO success recently. I mean, it's a close to $2 billion company today, and omni-channel, all of that. I mean, Madhukar, again, from TiE community, hearty congratulations and pulling through a fantastic IPO. And what do you credit for? I mean, a lot of IPOs which came in last 3-4 months, fell, as high as 60-70%. Even after the recent, fall, still Medplus is, more than 30-35% above the issue price. What do you credit for? Is it a business model, or what do you credit for?
See, I don't know what happened after the issue, so why it is up or down or whatever, because nothing really changed for us since we basically went and sold the story. But I can tell you this for sure. I think the several, I would say 100 meetings which we had with all the venture capitalists and all the PE funds and everything else over the years helped us really, perfect the pitch when we went out to the roadshow. After basically going through those grilling, I would say day-long sessions in which you basically do the diligence with a PE fund and all. The 1 hour thing with a public market investor was a walk in the park. So it was much more easier to basically get it done. I think we had a good story, and and I think investors also realized that we were steadfast in our approach, while we were never want to step back from giving discounts to get higher market share. We were not doing it foolishly, and we are not doing it. We are not doing it in a way in which we would not be profitable. So they were, quite in a market in which everyone is chasing valuation by doing online stuff, giving a lot of discount and burning a lot of cash and basically bringing in top line. The fact that we basically refuse to do that, we have a good online offering. We continue to do what we are doing profitably. And the fact that we had spent just less than 10 crores from the time we first launched Medplus online in 2015 till date, and still grew a steady business, actually helped us a lot. I think, the whole omnichannel story obviously gelled very well. And our own deep conviction in the fact that, we wanted to run a fast growing but a profitable business, not necessarily something which is built for, ages, I would say, built for long-term lasting value, not just for creating some short-term valuation thing, kind of, helped overall. And I think that's what the investors bought, is what I think. Obviously, the opportunity is there, but it is there for everyone. It is there for the online guys. It is there for us and all. But how you go after the opportunity, how do you basically, differentiate yourself and all, is what really matters. But that said, Raghu, I would say, for once, we were the beneficiaries of great timing. Timing is the thing, right? So, I think things had to come our way after 15 years, eventually. So we couldn't have timed it better. Literally, we went, the public issue hit the market, and we listed on December, in the end of December. And I think, you can count off a couple of issues which happened after that. After that, it's been kind of a rocky thing. So timing definitely, but I think, even in the right timing also, we had a good story to sell.
Yeah. I think as you credited, I think timing also played decent role in the success. I think timing matters, particularly for IPOs. I think, you are one of the, when I also consider, in success and, where the, issue, 55 times, 53 times, over subscription and all of that. Just wanted to, follow up questions on the IPO related. You mentioned, from the day one, you have been having the investor. Maybe 10, 15 institutional investors you have worked with, and then, obviously, there is a lot of transparency. You're already an institution, Medplus, unlike, some people who are coming, they don't have that kind of a platform, they're making up, story and, grooming themselves in 6 months to 1 year and coming to IPO, right? So one is the institutional capital you already have. And second, the transparency and some of those things have helped, I think, to sail through IPO maybe with a very lot lesser effort. Yeah, is that, any other lessons you wanted to share? I think a lot of people are looking, for IPO, maybe next, 12 to 18 months. Maybe we would have seen, large number of IPOs given the correction. I think, that may get pushed maybe another 6 to 12 months. But anything you want to share in terms of hiring the investment banker or, anything you think one or two very, very important pieces which will help the audience?
No, a couple of things. One, of course, now, most companies which are now coming are all very well run. Most of them are institutionally funded. And a lot of them are first generation entrepreneurs and all. So they don't come with the baggage of old Hyderabad company. And I must tell you that there is that problem with, when you basically talk to people, some of these public market investors at least. I don't think it is as much as with the VCs and PE funds right now. So they get a little worried. So having a good, history of good quality, governance out there, great governance basically, having, let's say, Big Four both as internal and external auditors and all, having institutional investors who are known, having a good independent board, all of those work well. There is no problem. But, a good business model, great timing would basically be well above this. I would say these are all good things to have, not necessarily something which will really stop you. The market is great, and if your business is really good, and if you are able to get the story together nicely, that's not a problem at all. A lot of people will come with a lot of preconceived notions. That's what I saw. Early on when we were actually looking to go and make the pitch book, I knew that we wanted to that we had the money and we had the platform and we had the ability to grow at 1,000 store level every year, 700 this year and 1,000 and 1,500 and all. So I really wanted to put that in. All the bankers, including our private equity funds and all, said, no one will ever believe you that you can actually do 700 stores and you can do 1,000 stores. So don't lose your credibility by going out there and saying this and then starting on a back foot, because all the questions will then be around, how will you do it? No one has done it. You have never done it. You did only 100 stores. Because in our history, we had only done 100 stores a year. And that is because we were, for various reasons, we couldn't raise the right amount of money. From 2011 till 2019, the company raised just 100 crores, both in debt and equity combined. But we took the company from 483 crores to 2,000 crores. So whatever money was getting generated was enough just for us to put in 100 stores. And that is the reason why we had that. But that was a big reason for all the bankers and all to say that please don't say this, because you will not be able to sell it and it will not get sold and you lose credibility. But I was saying that, we can do it. And that is my strong selling point. We have execution skills. We never had the resources, money in the past. Now that we have the money and now that we have the market, there's no reason why I should short sell myself by and say, I will do only 200 stores and then, reward investors with a much higher growth and then wait for something else. Because if I had done that, we wouldn't have been able to justify the valuation which we actually took. So we know that valuations are for future growth and everything else, future profits and all. And the reason why online and internet companies and all get valued is because they think that they can grow really, really fast. I was willing to tell them that we will grow faster than any of the online guys. No problem at all. And we will actually grow it profitably, and we were willing to prove it. So we stuck to our ground and basically made sure that was the right message. reluctantly, I must say, the bankers, they had all kinds of Chinese whispers and all, said, promoter is a great guy. He will tell you some crazy stuff. Don't all believe it. He'll actually do slightly less, still give you valuation and all. But despite all that, we went in and sold the story well. And now that we are able to show on the ground that what we're able to do, I'm sure, our overall credibility in the market will only continue to rise. But again, this is a different story. If we had not done that, if we had basically gone by the conventional thing and said, listen, we had 100 stores in the past, we'll grow 200 or 300, we would be at a different kind of value, is what I think. So sometimes, if you really believe in it, and if you know that you can sell the story, don't believe that the public market guys are completely different from the private market guys. I mean, the story which was constantly told to me was, public guys have got 1 hour. They'll give you a 1 hour pitch. They'll give you 1 hour to pitch. And if you basically, and they will lose it if you basically, say something which is not out of this thing out there. And they will not give you any this thing at all. But we were willing to take the chance because that is the strongest point. Ability to execute and ability to grow is the strongest point, and we wanted to do that. So we went in and pitched, and basically some of the people had some questions, but a lot of them, agreed. And those who invest, and we had a long list of guys who wanted to invest, and we had to turn away most of the people. And those who did not invest, we did not invest for other reasons, not because of this. So it is not as different. If you basically made sense, they would listen. And I think we benefited from that by sticking to that. So my advice would be, go with your gut, go with whatever is your strength. Don't necessarily go with what the bankers or investors or someone else will tell you about how this behaves or how that behaves. No one really knows. If they're all. It is not a difficult. If you believe it, it should not be a difficult story to sell.
A little bit on the early stages of Medplus. I mean, whether fundraising or setting up, little bit challenges you went through, and do you do those things differently? I also remember, both of us have traveled to Bombay, Bangalore, very, very initial stages for fundraising. I mean, people did not understand the model, some of those things. I mean, can you elaborate a little bit? And do you see things have changed significantly for, entrepreneurs who are coming into the market today?
So of course, the public issue was a function of all the things which you had done and the timing. The initial thing I must say was also a lot of luck. I remember, we went and basically I came in with 2.25 crores to start 50 stores. We set it up and we raised a little bit of money immediately after that. We got lucky. We found a couple of guys who basically believed in us and put in some of the money. But there were several times in which we could have gone bankrupt without this thing and all, because while we were very, very frugal and we got to profitability very quickly, I was hoping that we would get to it even faster. So we were a little short. There were several times in which we would have gone bankrupt, but luck definitely played a major role, I must say. If we had not gotten funded the way we got funded in the first couple of years out there and all, I think it would have been a different story. But actions speak louder than anything else. So when we came in with that money and set up the first 50 stores, had something to display, had the software and everything else, people were a lot more willing to buy. I remember it took me 3 months of going around all over US after my undergrad to raise $500,000, out of which 132 came from me. I could have put the whole money in, but I just said that I wanted the discipline of some outside investors. So we still decided. So at the end of 3 months, we had only $368,000 to show for all that work. But when I put in the 50 with that thing, it took us only a week or less to get the next $1.5 million. And when the store started performing, it took us even less time to get the next $25 million. So proof of concept obviously is the most critical thing out there. Once you put it out there, people will believe you and all. But much more, and they're more likely to believe. It's amazing the level of this thing which people have once you have executed in something out there. So I would say for anyone who wants to do something, start small, put it out there. Don't write a big plan where the seed fund itself requires a lot of money. Make sure that with the little money, you're able to put something on the ground and make something work. And then the rest of the funding actually becomes much, much more easier. But that said, just also believe that, there are times when things may just not go your way, and you may have to basically get back and then try something else also. I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. Once in a while, that's happening.
I heard you saying, I mean, it took 3 months to raise, maybe less than $500,000, in what only. Even with the Wharton tag, you could not raise. I mean,
yeah, no.
Even their market did not mature, or I mean, today I think money is chasing. I mean, $2 million is coming, with just your education and experience tag.
No, 100% it's a different market altogether right now. So people put down that kind of money every day as just seed money, or just on the sense of a business plan and all. But that is a different time. But I'm sure, but the need of money is far higher today. So what you would require, let us say you're able to get $500,000 or 1 million or even 5 million easily today. That the need would be then far higher. So with that, whatever seed money you have to be really, really careful and put something on the ground and really show it working for it to come. So 3 months, I actually did not approach the right kind of institutional capital, mainly because of two things. One, this was a business which is going to be in India, and I didn't want to get to institutional capital at that time. So I raised the money from friends and family only. So I did not go after any kind of institution at all. One. And two, this is something which was going to be in India, and the money is getting raised in US, and there was nothing but a piece of paper to show for it.
The another important piece, the pivoting and how the model evolved over the years, franchisee, so many things. I think you keep trying, and whenever I meet you, there is an interaction. You wanted to, you generally discuss, what you want to do, all of that. How do you see the evolution of the business model? And how is it positioned today? Is it cost leadership? Is it a discount model? And also a little bit, what do you think, 2-3 factors which helped, to succeed, or where it is Medplus today? 500 crore top line, $2 billion valuation. What do you think 2-3 factors help, which maybe we all can take those, things in the businesses?
A little difficult to point out to one thing out there. Looking back, I think, one of our strongest things was, I would say some of my experience in earlier businesses really helped me. I knew some, although as a doctor, I knew something of software. I knew how to get the work done out there and all. And I knew what could be done. So I was very clear that I wanted to build our own software, which could be easily scaled. So one of my first hires was a CTO. And so he helped us build everything on Java, Linux, and MySQL, and helped us create that system, which allowed us each and every one of those small stores to function as a large store. Basically, all of these were, accessing inventory from the warehouse. All of them are online, and all of them are basically billing everything online. So every small store could access whatever was there in the backend and sell from that warehouse. And that was something which really helped us. But more importantly, the fact that as a small company with very little money, we wanted to put basically our own systems in place and did not want to just buy some off-the-shelf thing which could not be, even properly, I would say, which is not online, forget it. Forget about being online, which is not even very flexible. It was a good idea, just investing in that whole thing. So everything, just like, I'm sure there's some of the least, I would say, glamorous companies like Walmart and all have done what they have done because of their heavy investments in technology at a time in which no one else did it. So if you are a cost leader, we choose to be, a discount price guy out there and all. And for us, more than anyone else, making it very, very efficient work, is very critical. And for that, we require the flexibility of our own software. Our own software not only costs us much less, but also help us do a lot of those things. So that is one important thing which helped us all along. And the idea was, fairly clear. I saw that, retailers were making 20% and wholesalers were making 10%. I thought that was a huge spread for just trading, literally. And I thought with scale, you could vertically integrate and basically bring down the cost and pass on. So from day one, we've been the biggest, discounters out there. We continue to be that. And so our value prop, so we all, Medplus as a brand basically is known for the pricing it does, not fancy stuff, but, do what it takes to make sure that the customers get the product they need in the right time and the more importantly, the right price and everything else. So that is something which we'll continue to, push forward. We'll maintain our pole position. And so in that value pricing thing, and that's what really does.
What do you think, the importance of people in the business and particularly your business? And I mean, today, at least, what I've been seeing and saying, for every business, I think people have become very, very important piece. I mean, if you have the right people, I think success is maybe you have already won the batting for 50%. What is Medplus, a piece as well as what do you think currently?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's nothing as important as a good team upfront. I was lucky that I, could convince 2 of my classmates from medical college to come and join us a year after I started the business, and they, remain the pillars for the business out there. And on the back of their hard work, we have built the business out there. So I would say having the right people, and that's one of the things. I started several businesses after Medplus, but I took up all the great guys I knew into Medplus. So I was not really left with anyone else out there after that. And so that kind of became a little bit of a struggle. Although each one of them was a great value proposition by itself, it required a lot more time than what I was willing to spend because of my commitment to Medplus. And B, most of the people who I really knew were great were already here. And so it became a little bit of a challenge out there, most of those. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mr. Raghu. It's very critical to get the right kind of team going in the initial phases, at least. After that, of course, it becomes much more easier once the systems are set in place. But before that, before you are the system, the business actually stabilizes. Obviously, a lot of day-to-day and sometimes out-of-hour changes have to be done, and someone has to own it and basically be responsible for making those changes. So yeah, it's very, very critical in the early stages.
Another question, Madhukar, I mean, even after the listing today, you currently hold around 40%, after, seed round itself, you diluted and then, series of rounds. Now, how did you manage to keep this 40%? And I mean, you also leveraged, a little bit, quite aggressive, and then, hold on to this. If you want to share a little bit more, any lessons, takeaways, very, very useful piece. I know a lot of people, can't do what you have done from leveraging perspective.
Yeah, no, again, so I don't know. There are only 2 things. If the business was valued the way it should have been valued, I would probably own slightly smaller portion of the business, but we'd have probably reached this mark slightly earlier. So in a way, they actually got undone by the complete lack of faith, or let us say, the little bit of bad luck which we ran into because of a couple of investors out there was various reasons, for really no fault of theirs. It just so happened that one of them basically ended up actually having to shut down his entire, private equity business. The other people were not able to put in the money at the right time. As I said, between 2011, when we were already 483 crores, if we had the right capital, we should have been like, say, 4,000 or 5,000 crores by 2017. At which time I actually bought out those guys who were basically selling. Because they could not put the money in, and because they had to exit, they were valuing the business at much less value than what I thought it should be. And so when they decided to sell, I decided to step up and basically buy them out. So luckily for me, I ended up actually approaching Goldman Sachs, and we managed to make the whole thing work, start to finish. We have never had a faster, I would say, round of funding. In 73 days, we were able to put together something like 700 crores to buy these guys out. Diligence, paperwork, final funding, and everything else. And that allowed me to buy these guys out and, up my stakes significantly in the company. We diluted a little bit after that because then we had to raise money to grow the company and all. But while in a way it was lucky that I managed to actually get that large stake, things would probably have been different. We'd probably be at 18 or 20% stake, but we may have, with the right kind of support from the earlier investors, may have been at twice the size of what we are today. So all in all, I think this evens out.
Again, timing also has helped significantly last 2-3 years. I think again you are in some way COVID beneficiary. Business which got benefited COVID, and also multiplier effect with the IPO timing and all of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. These are all, so when you're in it for 15 years, I think, luck will come your way once in a while.
But I never thought you will give credit to luck. But I mean, I saw today you gave credit to luck. I mean, everything falling in place is luck. I mean, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, you could be doing the same thing for several years, and things could be falling constantly against you. And sometimes once in a while they do. So as long as the thing though is this: you're running a prudent, profitable business. Luck or no luck, we'll be profitable and we'll be growing. So of that there is no doubt. Now the multiplier happens because of some external event, but you have to be there in the field long enough to get the benefit of that. So that's what I believe in. I really have no faith in businesses which are, where you're going. For example, a marketplace is the, best example of a business in which I don't believe in at all. So marketplaces typically in every this thing, it's one guy or two guys. So you create it, you have, the success depends on a lot of people coming in to, support it. And because of those guys, buyers coming in, a lot of sellers coming in and all. But what that means is you end up, spending a lot of money to just get to that stage. And what it also means is, as long as you're online and everything else, there's like, with no intellectual property to protect or anything like that, anyone can do it. So whoever spends the most money ends up getting there and all. So you're dependent on being able to raise the maximum amount of money in that thing. And when you start off and there are 4 others, you can't always be sure that you will be the guy. Because if you're not, then you will either end up having to shut down or sell. And most of them end up actually having to shut down. So on the other hand, the businesses I chose are, where even if you have to put in some capital and grow the business and all, you either do very well or you do moderately well, but there's absolutely no reason why you should sink as long as you're doing things the right way. So that's what Medplus was. And, we believe that as we continue to add stores, 1,000 this year and 1,500 next year and all, no matter what happens, we believe that there is a market for medicines to be sold offline, because not all medicines will ever be bought online 100%. So as long as there's some people who are willing to buy medicines offline because they have an acute need, and they're willing to pay the full price or close to the full price with lesser discount and all, you can always subsidize those guys who are looking for discount. So you have a good mix of where you're able to compete with a pure play online and a pure play offline guy. So in that way, I would say the growth of that would not be luck, but the multiplier would be something which you would enjoy once in a while.
Where do you see Medplus, 3 to 5 years, Madhukar? I mean, what's the big picture?
So for Medplus, given that most of the people obviously a lot of changes from where we came. There are a lot of things which I thought about we should actually do and which looked like, a little out of the way at that point of time are all now looking 100% possible. So we're looking at several things. We're looking at, completely changing the retail side, making it more convenient, making it a lot more, having a lot more stores which will sell everything medicines and a lot of our own private label stuff. We sell everything in medicines. We are multi-brand, so people have a reason to come to us because we have the best value out there. And the goal is to basically increase the breadth of offering out there so that they also pick up the other stuff when they come. And that will largely be private label out there. So that is one retail aspect. But on the healthcare aspect, we think that, the overall the online consultation which people saw in COVID is here to stay. They're never going to go completely online and only visit a doctor online. Some specialties may happen, but a lot of the people who would otherwise call a doctor, call a friend who was a doctor if they're feeling ill at night and all, will suddenly now go call an online doctor because you don't have to do that now. So that part is there to stay, and there will be other things which will happen as we go forward, where people are, let's say, the second follow-up visits can all be done online, where you basically, go to a doctor, ask for investigations, and then you send in the investigations, he writes a prescription. All those things can be online. And so we think that online consults and internet kind of medicine will start, and so will a little bit of small portion. We also think that given that this is going to be there, there's also going to be diagnostics and all which will also come in. So our goal is to now use the customer base which we have and the store network which we have to grow our presence in both these areas, both the diagnostics as well as the online consults, where we continue to basically, we will at least start offering a full solution on the OPD side. So for anything which is outside a hospital, we believe we should be able to come to us as we go forward. Visit, consult a doctor, come to a diagnostic center or go to a pharmacy, get all the things which need to be done till you need to get to hospital, if at all you need to get to hospital. And we believe that by increasing the access and increasing the affordability of these both things, we will be able to reduce the number of people who will actually need acute care. So that will definitely be, that will definitely up the overall wellness quotient out there for the society, is what we think. So to long story short, we will now be a diagnostics and a consulting king. Once again, we started this long back when we had this, clinic thing and all, clinic lab and all, but that is not the right time. I think now, with the amount of capital which we have and with the base of customers we have, and with the way the technology has progressed and all, we think now is the right time for us to bring all these things together.
But a little bit on some of your other ventures which was started in the last 15, 16 years, you start almost 3-4 different money. I mean, some are successful, some are not so successful. And what's the message and what is the learning from this?
So the learning from this is, it is easy to give advice and very difficult to follow it. So I always thought, okay, we should be focused on one thing, not do something where you don't have full attention and everything else and all. I say that to myself. I also tell it to other fellow entrepreneurs and all. But I find it extremely difficult to actually follow. Every time I have a great, new, exciting idea, I feel I have to do it. And so I then basically jump in headlong, get it all set up, and think that this time around it's going to be better. So we set it up and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, unless, there are two things, of course, you can be fantastically well capitalized and get a great team and have the energy or let's say the staying power of a Reliance kind of guy. It doesn't matter, they start 100 things. They have so much capital and so many people that even if they lose money in the first 3 years, they will continue to build and eventually, make it. So if you have enough and more time and money, you can make almost anything successful. It's not a problem. But none of us, very, very, very few, I would say none of us have that kind of luxury. So it's always better to do one thing. All I can tell you is, the learning from this is just do one thing. Again, for most entrepreneurs, it may be very difficult to follow. I've seen a lot of my friends who are, businessmen and all, who are very, very successful doing one thing, but they'll say, and I'm also thinking of that small thing, I'll set up a school, I'll set up this, I'll set up that. So a lot of small things which people keep doing out there. It is almost impossible to, stop that. I mean, that's a bug which basically, if you learn how to, let's say, take care of it, a lot of people would be very, very, much more successful entrepreneurs, I would think. But easier said than done.
I think what I'll do is, maybe we'll stop the conversation and then we'll take some questions, and then based on the time availability, continue. Friends, open for questions. I have received some questions, but meanwhile, anybody want to raise, please do. Can you put me in chat box or you want to ask?
We see a raised hand by Narsimha. Should we take it? Yes, Mr. Narsimha.
Yes. So, hi Madhukar garu. It was great to hear you, and also thanks for attending this. So I run an e-learning startup. So I faced some of the challenges that when you talked about funding, I could relate to it. We could only raise so much and then expand so much and then raise a bigger amount at a bigger valuation. But then sometimes you feel if you have all the capital, you could go all out because you have a solution. Now, if we wait for long, we lose the opportunity. If we dilute more, there is also a lot of pressure to show the returns to the investors. How do you think we should balance this if we don't want to hard sell in the long run?
See, you gave the answer right. If you wait for too long, you'll lose the opportunity. So I would say, what is better? Not dilute and lose the opportunity, or dilute and have the opportunity to perform. Okay, there's pressure to basically show results and all, but that is going to be related to the valuation which you have. So I think if you get the right kind of investor and if the right kind of mechanisms out there put in the shareholder agreement, the pressure from a private equity investor is not very high. I would say, take money at whatever valuation is the best thing out there and grow the company. There's nothing, not growing would be wrong. Unless you have something which is protected fully and you feel confident that you can grow through internal accruals and all, I would advise that you should definitely grow. Take the money at whatever valuation. Make sure that you're leaving something on the table for the investor so that he doesn't pressure you too much. But I think if you find the right investors, they will not do that also. But between not taking money and taking money and facing pressure, I would always take the money and face the pressure.
I have a couple of questions here. One question is, were you able to balance your professional and personal life in the journey? And generally, I mean, it's understood, you slog so much and you sacrifice personal life, and then build, $1 billion businesses. I think that's the, that's how people relate. But what's your take on this?
It's a very personal thing. It's very difficult to say, but most people I know who build really large businesses have really very little personal life, I must say. But again, there are some who manage to do both. I guess it's in the way you deal with it. I have not done a great job. So for me, but that is something which you'll have to deal with.
What was the tipping point of your business when you really felt you had a winner?
No, for us, when we announced our first discount for senior citizens, and we said that we would give a 10% discount to anyone who was above 58 and all that sort of stuff, and then we went out and made the thing public. And when we saw that people were standing in lines outside the stores to show proof of their being senior citizens, then we knew that we were, we had something going out there, and then we went all out. And since then on, it's just a matter of, execution and raising money and executing, that's all.
Madhukar, if you want to start this today, what do you do the same way, and what would you do differently?
No. If I were to start a new business, I would not start pharmacies. If Medplus was there, I wouldn't start it. So someone else like Medplus or even Apollo was there, I don't think there's any point. At this point of time, knowing what I know, and with the amount of capital which you can actually get, and I'm pretty sure if we were not there, someone else would be there. I won't do it because there are far more interesting things to do. The road to see a lot of these retail businesses completely depend on scale, especially if you're a omni-channel kind of person or a brick and mortar kind of thing. And scale is not easily got. It is hard fought. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of money. If someone is already there with, let's say, 5,000 stores, it's foolishness to basically go and do something out there. Unless you don't want to do something national. You can always start something in, let's say, Someone could go and start something in Bangalore, do 30 stores or 50 stores in one part of the city and grow it a little bit. But he would never get the capital from a private equity guy or from the public markets to make it a national player. And the internal accruals of that business would never be enough for him to challenge us. So I wouldn't do this business. There are several others I would do.
A little related question. And do you see some white spaces, in and around your business where, you are looking for some startups to invest, or you're thinking maybe this area, there is a potential, maybe, some of the entrepreneurs can pick up here? And are you looking to invest in the startups which has a strategic value to your business?
No, we always looked at that. As long as there is some value out there, we don't mind investing. It's just that, so we feel that as a retail business, we need to own the customer. So anyone who comes in with a partnership idea in which, we become a partner, we supply them, and then they supply the customer is a complete no-no for us. And most of the people who come are people like that, who basically run an app, small app, and say, I'm going to tie this guy with that guy and that guy. Can you just help me do this, and all? That is something which we will do. But if there's a genuine thing where someone is building a solid idea which we could emulate or which can really scale, we're happy to invest. Unfortunately, Mr. Raghu, a lot of the ideas which come seem to be easily, let us say, replicable, in the sense that the idea is not more than an app. I don't consider just an app, a great business, this thing out there and all. And a lot of them just come with that, unfortunately. But happy to look at anything which comes, which can help us, which can be a complement to our business.
I mean, also you're saying, right? I mean, today, a lot of business are around technology, tech-enabled, not hardcore or a brick and mortar. I mean, but today when they are demanding huge valuation, how do you see? I mean, there's a lot of polarization in what is going to have to happen to, hard businesses like your business, or maybe a lot of other businesses. What do you think, is the shift is going to happen, or is there a middle path, and how do you balance?
See, there are technology businesses and tech-enabled businesses, right? Pure tech businesses are where you build a fantastic software, or where you just build it, and then people, once it is established, once you get the thing, you just keep printing it out and then keep making money, and that's something which is really nice. Either it is protected by a patent or it has the network effect, like something like a Windows and all those other things, a bunch of other things out there. It could be a chip, it could be a hardware, it could be a piece of really good software, or some other really great innovation, which I consider tech, or a massive tech company like Tesla, or maybe it could be a small device. You have invented a device. There's this company called Dexcom in US. It's fairly successful. Just to give you an idea of what I think would be a really great tech company. They're already there, of course. What they do is basically the chip which goes into your body, the small sensor which goes in, and then that works with a small meter which you have, and that also connects to an app. So now, app is the easiest part of the business. The main thing is that thing which monitors your blood glucose on a minute-by-minute basis. Whereas if you just tap it, it just reads the entire glucose, and that's truly, path-breaking. Because otherwise, you would basically check your blood glucose at any instant by pricking your finger or getting a blood test done. And that is completely, kind of dependent on what you have basically, done just before, or worked out, or eaten, or done something else and all. So that instant to instant thing is never really a good reflection of the level of your diabetes and all. And the other test which you have, which is the HbA1c, which is a 3-month average, again is not a very good, and it comes after 3 months. So it doesn't really tell you exactly. But this one, when you wear it, reads the blood glucose for 15 days from there, right? And you are able to correlate, and it gives you a minute-by-minute graph. So you are able to correlate with the exercise you have done, or with what you have eaten and all, to see how it has, or with the drug you have taken, to see how the blood sugar has gone up or down. Fantastic stuff. That one, that's the tech. Now, we create an app and say, you enter this, I'll throw out some record for you. That's, sometimes I find it difficult to believe someone like Pharmacy also says he's tech. Anyone who's got a website is tech. So that's a little difficult to buy out there, I would say.
I have a question from Venkat Reddy. How was your business model different from Apollo Pharmacy? Any lessons learned from Apollo Pharmacy model? If it is any different from Medplus model? I mean, competition or Apollo Pharmacy.
I'm thinking we are the DMart, Apollo the Spar. In the end, DMart will win, right? So we believe in giving great value to customers. We believe in basically giving what they really require. We're not really a fancy listing at all. And both retailers, we're both multi-brand stuff. There's really nothing, really different out there. They have the benefit of a big brand because of their hospital and all that. And they also have the benefit of a lot of money which they were making from their stores. So they ended up actually growing slightly faster than us. At one point, we were 1,000 stores and they were 1,100 or 1,200. Now they're almost double our size because they've been growing at 400, 500 stores a year, where we're growing at 100 a year for a while. So that's the only difference. Outside of the fact that they think that there is somehow some extra special thing they should get, and they try to extract a little extra value. We think that, we just like to be the best price guy out there, and we just want the customers to come to us. Every customer, not just some customers out there. So kind of different that way.
Sense to go through all this, our real estate business would have made sense.
Sorry?
When the real estate prices and market in India, Telangana and Hyderabad.
No, obviously there's a ton of money to be made in real estate. There's no doubt about it. But when you build a really good brand and a good business, see, real estate is very opportunistic. That's what I feel. Obviously all of us, all businessmen keep thinking about it. Why am I doing all this? Should just go build, 500 flats out there and just make 1,000 crore thing. But you build today, you take out some money, that's done. Unless you invest in some other piece of land and again grow it and then again grow it, and then you could always be stuck. So the value we see in an enterprise like Apollo or Medplus or anything like this or any other thing is that no matter what we do, there's not a lot which can change. There is significant I would say barrier to entry for someone smaller to come. And we can continue to keep growing. So year after year, we'll end up doing 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 crores, and our margins can only increase. So the value of this, I would say, is far, far higher than any one-time, two-time, wins which you can get in a real estate thing.
Any other question, friends? Anyway, I also have a, Madhukar, generally, when people raise, either institutional capital or IPO capital, they go out and, burn a lot of money. And, your compensation also is very, very low, people nobody believes, if I say those numbers, the so low compensation you take, what is the message? You don't enjoy well, what's your philosophy on that?
Sorry, Raghu, I didn't get the question. What did you say?
No, what I'm saying, obviously, there has been in market practice when the fundraise happens, value, wealth gets generated, people become, very flamboyant, expensive cars, so many things happen. But I see you very, very simple, humble man. I think, the car which you use also, it doesn't cost more than 20-25 lakhs. And, even your compensation is very, very low. What is the philosophy behind this?
Well, no, I do what I enjoy. And I enjoy just coming to work and basically building out a massive business and all. And that is more important to me than anything else, honestly. While, the valuation and everything else is satisfying to some extent, we also realize that it is not really, that, I also am, I realize that, I've been the beneficiary of some extraordinarily lucky things happening out there and all, and some a lot of hard work and everything else. I don't really see that as a reason to do something flamboyant or something like that. If I and change my nature, it's being that just regular, 8, 9 to 5, 96 kind of guy, 97 kind of guy. That's all there is to it. I believe the true value, or at least, so a lot of us do a lot of stuff because, or most of us do the stuff which we really enjoy doing. I am, lucky enough to be doing what I really enjoy doing. So for me, the satisfaction of building out a large business and making it successful is far more than basically a little, slightly larger home or flashier car.
We have a question from Rajesh Pagadala. How did you control the urge to go after another business opportunity that can grow as big as Medplus and stay focused?
Rajesh, I have not been able to control that, right? I've at least had 3 or 4 other businesses which I thought should have grown way bigger than Medplus and all, but no, and I wish I had, honestly speaking. Well, all of them are great business ideas. I don't think that is the right time for me to do it. And that's one of my big failings, not being able to focus on one thing.
What's your ambition, Madhukar? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years?
So, no, our plan, and this is a good segue into the new thing which we are building out in Medplus. Now, our plan is to actually make Medplus the most valuable healthcare company in the country. And we are now embarked on this journey. We've just launched our diagnostic center in Hyderabad. It's going to be a chain of these across Hyderabad. We'll probably have anywhere from 15 to 20 overall. We're launching 4. The first one has started in Gachibowli. The second one will come up in Hapsiguda, then Kumpalli, then Kukatpalli. All of them are big 10,000 square foot centers with 3 Tesla MRI, 128 slice CT scan, the works, the entire thing. They will also have doctors who will be available for anyone who walks in, so they can basically go and get themselves checked out, get the tests done as required, and buy their medication as required out there. Available both online and online. You can basically consult with the doctors online, or you can go directly and get the test by getting the whole online appointment and all that sort of stuff. The one big thing which we're doing out here is we're basically, I believe that just like in medicines, that there's a serious lack of scale in the diagnostics business. The biggest player in the country today has not more than 50 or 60 centers out there, large scale centers with MRI, CT scan and everything else. So this lack of scale does not allow them to go and negotiate and get the best prices, does not allow them to use teleradiology as a tool where they can reduce the manpower cost, does not allow them to use training centers like we have in Medplus, where we're able to train a lot of people and reduce the cost of manpower, and also does not allow them to pass on the benefits, does not allow them to raise money at the level it should be, at the price it should be, and pass on the benefits to the customer. So we see a huge opportunity here, and that's why we entered. So our business model is going to be different, where a family, let's say it is basically based on a subscription plan. A person pays 1,000 rupees to become a member, and with that 1,000, he becomes a member. He is able to buy 1,000 rupees worth of tests at list price, and after that gets a 75% discount for any test he does, whether it's MRI, CT, or whatever, right? So fantastic this thing out there. We think that everyone in the city should be buying this scheme, where they can reduce the cost of their outpatient spend. They can reduce the cost of the consulting, because there's a huge discount on the consulting fees too, and there's obviously a discount on this. So we feel, given that OPD is such a big part of the cost, by taking a subscription model and taking care of the capex, we are able to give service at 25% discount and still be profitable and pass on this fantastic. So we see us becoming the #1 OPD healthcare guy in the country and becoming the biggest healthcare company out there. That's the plan.
I was laughing when Madhukar was saying this. He will pitch, every individual whom he interact with, go and buy my diagnostic kit, go to my medical. Sure. I mean that's how business is ingrained. I mean sales pitch. It does every interaction. I mean that's how Madhukar is. What I was asking, what is your personal ambition as Madhukar? I mean, is there a difference between Medplus and Madhukar? I mean, I was asking more on if there's something for Madhukar.
Something other. No, see, we are all defined by the work we do, right? By the work we do and by the relationships we have and everything else and all. So for me, yeah, work occupies most of the time, and this is something which I do. So it is obviously exciting for us to be talking about it all the time. If it is not, we would not be doing it. So it is just, second nature, I would say.
I have one more question, and then we will do this rapid round, and then I think we can wind up. Question from Srinivas Reddy. I mean, is doing business in the US is difficult, or in India? I mean, have things changed? I mean, something around that. I mean, if you want to also comment on a little bit on the policy for your business and in general, I mean, as an entrepreneur, you have some opinion you want to share. I mean, that's a little bit.
No, obviously, things were a lot more difficult back in 2005 than they are now. But then the opportunity in 2005 is much, much higher. So it is worth, taking that extra pain. So it is just going to be a function, right? If it is very easy, everyone will do it. In US, business really thrives. It's very easy to do it, but it's also very tough. So unless you have a fantastic, idea or a lot of capital, you can't do much. In India, on the other hand, there's a lot of opportunity. You could do a lot of stuff, but it's tougher. So it's, depends on what you want to do and everything else and all. But I believe the difficulty is, I would say directly proportional to the reward which you have or the opportunities which you have in the country.
Madhukar, a little bit of a rapid round. I mean, I'll just say one word.
Sure.
One word or one sentence, very, very short and sweet. Money.
Not everything.
Valuations.
Again, not all relevant.
India versus Bharat.
I think they're coming much closer together. They're almost same. They will. Not
almost same. I mean, I thought you would think, Bharat is an opportunity. I mean, I think that way.
No, I see both are coming together very quickly, Raghu Babu. The difference is going to be much, much, much lesser as we go forward. Everyone has the same opportunity now, more or less.
Competition?
Good in everyone else's business except mine. So better not to have it if you can. You have to build a moat there.
Success?
Great to have, obviously.
Retirement?
What is that?
Luck?
Luck is a multiplier. You get you get your base stuff by hard work and everything else. Luck multiplier is a good multiplier.
Giving back to the society, giving back.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Madhukar. Great, talking to you as usual, and thoroughly enjoyed, and hope my friends also enjoyed here. Thanks, TiE committee for giving me this opportunity. I'm done, guys. I'm done. Yeah.
Thank you, Raghu sir. Mr. Basura, sir, can you take over from here?
Thank you so much, Mr. Madhukar Reddy. It's been a pleasure listening to your journey of success, ups and downs, but success, persistence paid off. Raghu Babu, you asked him very incisive questions. He handled them very eloquently as well. Your rapid on fire was a pleasure to hear. Once again, thank you for a lovely session. On behalf of all the TiE members and all those who zoomed in today, thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arun.
Thank you, sirs. We are now closing the call.